Hi everyone, my name's Debbie Rivers and I want to talk to the couples out there today about our whole lockdown experience. Now, it can be tough spending more time than you've ever spent before. Now, there's a lot of research that says the average couple only spends 35 minutes per week talking to each other. Oh my God, that is nothing. And usually in those 35 minutes, they are talking about their to-do list, issues, not anything that's fun or brings them a connection. So all of a sudden, you've got couples that have gone from only talking that amount of time to spending so much time stuck in the same house, especially if they're working from home, especially if they've got kids. Now, what this time can do is highlight the cracks in your relationship, and or for some couples, it's bringing them close together. Now, I want to give you some tips that can help you reignite your spark and have it burning out of control by the time you come out of lockdown. Okay, and it's based on some research of 70,000 couples across the world, and they did the research for a book called The Normal Bar to see what made a happy relationship. And some of it, surprisingly enough, has to do with sex and the connection that couples have. And they found that there were some really interesting things that made couples' relationships really good. And one of them was kissing every time they see each other and every time they say goodbye. And, it's not just a kiss on the cheek, it's a 6-second kiss. And, what was really surprising is they found that men, when they kissed often like this, were found to live 5 years longer. How cool is that? So kissing often, and what we're talking about is showing kiss affection outside of the bedroom without the intent to have sex, okay? It's quite a different thing. What does happen for a lot of couples is the only time, say if the husband gives his wife a hug, she feels like, okay, that has to lead to sex. Now, she might be tired with a big to-do list. I'm sure we've all found ourselves that way as women. I know when my kids were young, sometimes it felt like another thing to do at the end of the day because you were so tired and so exhausted. Now, in this case, there's research around this, a big passion enhancer is to help each other with the housework, to help with the kids, not leaving it all on one person. Because when it is like that, no wonder people are exhausted. And so help people out. And ladies, let go of the need to be perfect, okay? Yes, maybe you can do it better, but in this time, does it matter so much? So I think it's a time where we can let down some of those standards, especially when we're spending so much time in our house. Now, I want to read what they found for couples, right? So I don't miss any. So the research suggests that couples that had a great relationship had a great sex life and connect emotionally as well as physically. They kiss and do it often. They say, I love you a lot and mean it. They stay good friends and have fun together. Whereas couples who don't have a good relationship and don't have a good sex life spend very little time with each other, become job-centered and child-centered, have massive to-do lists, and get caught up in leading parallel lives and make everything else a priority rather than their relationship, which is really interesting. So we've got this time now where for most people you've got more time than ever before. So really, in essence, drop those to-do lists. Relax. Start flirting, touching and kissing. It's the perfect time to do something different. Now, I was interviewed about this on 94.5 the other day, and they said, well, what about, they talked to some couples who hadn't been having a lot of sex and it was like the elephant in the room. How do they broach that subject? Now, this research found that couples who talked about sex often had better sex and the women had more orgasms. So it might be uncomfortable first, but it's important to have some of these honest conversations. Look, the other thing that I would recommend is if you've, drawn apart, build that intimacy with each other. I like the Gottman Institute. They talk about a relationship house. When you first meet someone, you can't talk to them enough. You can't touch or kiss them enough. It's so much fun to be around them that you literally want to be with them all the time. And we lose that when we've been with someone for a long time. So I would say build that relationship house. Get to know each other again, because we do not know everything about the people we live with. And, I've talked to a lot of couples that have told me this, that they wouldn't even know what their partner's favorite chocolate bar is, or, what their work involves. We make a lot of assumptions when we've known people. So it really is good to rediscover each other, but to also put the playful fun back into your relationship. Laugh, flirt, be silly together. Find some ways to build a lot of those intimate connections and talking to each other. Now, I recommend trying even something like the 36 questions to fall in love. Now, a psychologist designed this, and what their intention was to see if people could fall in love with a complete stranger. But there's a whole series of quite in-depth questions that you go through, and then you're meant to stare in each other's eyes for 4 minutes. Now, it really builds intimacy, and it maybe reminds you some of the things about your partner that you didn't know. So I recommend having a night where you go through that, dress up, have dinner in the backyard, put the kids to bed, and then work your way through some of these questions and build that connection with each other. Have fun, find some ways to do things different. The other thing I recommend, and I'll just show you this, is it's the 8 Dates by Dr. John Gottman, and they've designed this. A lot of couples don't have some of these difficult questions and don't even know how to do it. So there's a chapter on 8 specific subjects that couples struggle with that are meant to build the connection, build the friendship, build what you know about each other. One particular chapter is on sex, and they get you to read the chapter, give you some questions that you can ask each other, and be open without criticizing the other person. And then they've got some cool tips in there after you've had the conversation. So they recommend talking about sex, but not in the bedroom, and never criticizing your partner. So one of the cool tips that they had is try giving a sex review the next day, but only about what you loved about what your partner did. Really cool idea. Use this time to build that connection, and you will come out the other end, with this amazing passion. Now, I want to say that the couples that weren't getting on, there were some really top passion killers, and I'll go through them. It was lack of flirting, lack of attention, touching, and kissing. Now, I reckon doing those things without the outcome of having sex is really fun. Go back to, kissing without any outcome, like you did as teenagers. It's a lot of fun. Be playful. Now, the next thing is too much on your to-do list. And it also comes with being exhausted and stressed. So like I say, finding some ways to deal with that to-do list. And for many of you, you've got more time on your hands than ever before. So it is the perfect time. And having discussions around housework and chores. And instead of having these expectations, be honest and open with each other. Now, ladies, I want to say that we communicate much less directly than men do. And I want to say men don't speak hint. So ask for what you want and need in a way that the guy can hear what you want, and appreciate it when he does it. Too many times, and I've seen it often with couples, the woman will complain that maybe the guy wasn't putting the bins out, or wasn't picking up the dog poo, or wasn't doing something. When the guy finally does it and he's all proud and he goes to his wife, and she kind of doesn't see it as any big deal. Now, and the guy looks at that and goes, what's the point? When I do it, she doesn't notice it. Now, ladies, I know you're kind of going, well, I do all of these things without any appreciation. Yet, that doesn't feel good for you either. So when you ask someone to do something, really appreciate their efforts. They'll want to do it more for you. Men in particular will want to do it more. And appreciating and noticing when they do the thing that you want. And I also want to say, let go of some of that resentment, because what does happen is you're not angry just about that time. You're angry about the 20 times. And you're probably not even angry about the bins or the dog poo. You're angry because he hasn't been listening to you. You feel unheard. You feel unappreciated. So guys, take the time to recognize how your wife might be feeling and where this is coming from. It really will do your relationship the world of good. Because what I find is I've talked to a lot of men who've come out the other side with a failed relationship, right? And they tell me they were blindsided. Yet the woman had been telling them over and over again that she was going to leave, she was going to leave. And the guy goes, oh, I felt like she didn't really mean it. So there's some research by the Gottmans again that says, 85% of men don't accept their wife's influence. And what that means is, say the wife might say something like, oh, I don't feel loved or appreciated when you're on your phone. I'm not getting any attention. If the guy turned towards her and said, oh, I could see how you might feel that, that's accepting the influence and listening to her. Whereas often those things go unheard and unnoticed, and the frustration builds. So if you are able to listen to each other and hear some of those things, you will drastically improve your relationship. So I'm going to leave you with those tips. I talked a lot longer than I wanted to, but I really want to see you guys come out the other end of this lockdown stronger and more in love than you ever were before. Because working with singles who have divorced, I can tell you that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And it comes with a whole pile of issues and problems that if you can, make your connection stronger, it's one of the best things that you can do. And remember that the couples who kissed often live longer. And who wouldn't want that? So whatever you're doing, I hope you stay well and stay safe. Take care. Bye.